Imagine a desert-living reptile, a glossy lizard, gliding through the sand. Hard to see, of course, because it is so secretive. Picture a vivid green python, easing its way through the lush, fertile canopy of a rainforest. Again, difficult, with so much green on green. Then think of a tortoise ambling across a warm Mediterranean shrubland. But for the faint rustling of vegetation, even that's hard to tell. There are, of course, very good reasons why it is hard to find reptiles like these. They don't want to be found. Perhaps unsurprisingly then, they certainly don't want this. This is the Terraristika, the Hamm exotic animal market, so called because twice a year the town of Hamm, Germany, plays host to possibly the world's largest, and one of its most controversial, car boot-like sales of exotic wildlife. Cramped and inappropriate housing, stressed and suffering animals, reckless handling, risks of cross-infection, and disease risks to human and agriculture are just some of the major issues that go hand in hand with the event. Around 10,000 wild-caught and captive-bred animals are offered for sale here, some from typical pet shops, others from elusive traffickers identifiable only through websites and email.
Captive breeding remains economically unprofitable for a large number of reptile species. Hence, the majority of these species are still coming to Europe from the wild.
So greedy is the appetite for wild animals at the event that species unknown to science have also been found on sale. And now, the scale of the market and the volume of its problems are attracting international concern and criticism. Terraristika has opened its own box of snakes. Reptile dealers and keepers commonly spread the idea that reptiles neither need nor use much space. This is absolute nonsense. Not only do reptiles lead active lives, often over large areas, but even if stationary and resting, they need to change body posture and position, for example, to stretch out as part of their own well-being. Of course, stretching out is not an option in a cage that's shorter than the animal itself. The relatively docile nature of these lizards make them popular. Although many people keep lizards in cages like these, it is overly restrictive and highly inappropriate, failing to permit spatial and many other behavioral and physical needs. Should a small cat or a dog be forced to spend its life in an environment like this, the captor would face harsh condemnation and maybe also prosecution. And as we'll explore, because of their biological programming, it is arguably worse for reptiles to be caged than dogs or cats. But if you think that's bad, then look at this. This lizard is forced to remain bent just to fit in. A baby turtle is seeking land on which to rest, but there is none. These turtles, struggling to escape their cramped conditions, are reminiscent of the deplorable food markets of Asia. To these animals, their biological inheritance tells them they are trapped, exposed and vulnerable, and surrounded by potential threats. Handling a wild species is very different from petting a domestic animal like a dog or a cat. In situations like these, wild animals often perceive the handler not as a benign companion, but as a predator. To many, this is the capture before the kill. Indeed, scientific observations have shown that even eye contact with a human can cause reptiles significant stress. And when a few reptiles do find themselves outside of their minuscule prisons, it is hardly a taste of freedom. Here, athletic reptiles try to struggle free and escape. Or strike out at passers-by, actively seeking to avoid contact. But striking at the glass can also cause facial injuries to the snake. For others, such as the terrapin, Common defensive behavior includes withdrawing into its shell, or like this tortoise, spreading out its limbs in an attempt to hook itself to surrounding vegetation or objects. But these measures are no defense against the animal dealer and the ever-ready cash register.
No. You sure not this one? No. Give me 10, I give you 5. No. Can you give this? No. Give me 5. Okay?
The Hamm market is one of only a few to display and sell venomous snakes from around the world. Venomous snakes, by their nature, are often what you might call highly strung, sensitive. The inability of the poisonous snakes to escape the invasive conditions likely adds to their stress and arousal. And the close proximity of poisonous snakes to the public, along with the flimsy containers, is bad enough, but weakly taped down lids are a disaster waiting to happen. It isn't difficult to imagine someone accidentally falling onto one of these stalls, with who knows what consequences. It is yet another example of the complacency and disregard for both animal and human well-being endemic at the event. One of the simplest ways to spread bacterial, viral and fungal disease is to put large numbers of particularly stressed animals in the same environment and airspace. Add a few go-betweens, such as 550 to 600 wildlife dealers and several thousand spectators and buyers, and you have the makings of a veritable microbial utopia. The slow metabolic rate of reptiles means that many would not show signs of illness until long after they are sold. All reptiles carry bacteria, most notably Salmonella, along with other microbes that are potentially harmful or fatal to humans. It is not only impossible to eradicate these germs from reptiles, but transmission is easy and infection common.
People at increased risk of infection or at risk from serious complications of salmonellosis should avoid contact with reptiles. This includes children less than 5 years old, pregnant women, the elderly, and those with impaired immunity.
Like many other reptile-related bugs, Salmonella is routinely excreted and quickly spreads to occupy the wider environment. Animals contaminate the boxes, boxes contaminate the tables. Handling of boxes and animals contaminates people, their clothes, hair, car, and the domestic environment. Events like Terraristika offer a super express highway for pathogens from all over the world. And without even the minimal protection of quarantine, infectious disease is free to enter private homes. In the United States, pet reptiles are thought responsible for around 5% of all Salmonella infections. In some cases, it may be as high as 18%. And that's just Salmonella. A single reptile may carry dozens of species of bacteria alone. But it's not only humans and animals at Terraristika that are at risk. Reptiles also harbour other pathogens with the potential to threaten agricultural animal production too. One example is heartwater disease, a degenerative illness of cattle, and tortoise-borne ticks are a major concern. Indeed, US authorities estimate that reptile-introduced tick-borne disease has the potential to wipe out 100% of the American cattle industry. Many countries face this possible risk.